Hey y'all, welcome back to the Artisan Edge, an insightful series brought to you by the Curated Craftsman podcast. I'm your host, Kate Cook, and today I'm excited to dive into something that's been in the heart of my creative journey, and that is building a sustainable creative business through commission work. So before we dive into today's episode, I'm so stoked to announce our Makers Mention sponsorship, and that is Sin Customs. Sin Customs makes high-end, one-of-a-kind automotive artwork and custom furniture for collectors, enthusiasts, and luxury lifestyle connoisseurs who seek more than just decor. They want a statement piece. Each painting is a fusion of digital illustration and automotive-grade urethane paint, featuring rich candies, brilliant metal flakes, and shimmering metallics, all meticulously applied to road signs and other unique surfaces. These finishes bring each piece to life, capturing the raw beauty, power, and heritage of iconic vehicles from Ferraris and McLarens to classic American muscle, in a style that blends fine art with hardcore car culture. Beyond artwork, Sin Customs also designs and builds custom furniture using authentic car parts, from tables, benches, and everything in between. Each piece is a functional work of art built to turn garages, man caves, and even cigar lounges into immersive automotive spaces. Whether for a private collector, interior designer, or luxury brand looking for unforgettable design, Sin Customs offers original paintings, limited edition prints, custom commissions, and functional art tailored to your vision. This is the fine art of the road sign, built for those who live and breathe the automotive life. For inquiries, you can contact Sin Customs at hotrodcarart.com, and you can find Sin Customs on any social media platform at Sin Customs. That's SINCUSTOMS, and all of these links will be in our show notes. A big thanks to Sin Customs for sponsoring this episode. If you're looking for an affordable way to get your creative business in front of the right audience while helping me produce the Curated Craftsman podcast, then I encourage you to check out the link in our show notes and claim your own Makers Mention sponsorship today. Put what you make in front of an engaged, like-minded audience. For a one-time contribution of $20, your creative business will be featured on a podcast episode, permanently listed in our show notes and blog, and introduced to an audience that values craftsmanship, whether they're fellow makers, potential clients, or people who appreciate the artistry behind what you create. So although I'm doing commission work in painting, the 7 tips that I want to share with you today about starting a commission business really apply to any medium. A quick little backstory about me is that when I was going to college for painting, what I really wanted to do is become a storyboard artist for a movie company, and that kind of fell through after applying a couple times. But I did realize that a special skill I had was being able to transform somebody's ideas or stories into custom art. And I just want you to take a minute to think about how that would look in your business, or if you've done this before on a smaller scale. Have you taken somebody's idea or need for custom art in any way, whether that be a sculpture or a painting or a table? And have you been able to take their ideas and stories and transform it using the medium that you consider yourself skilled at? That's an important question to ask yourself before even considering starting commissions, because what I've noticed is that with commissions, although it is about the creation process, the biggest thing about it is building relationships and telling stories. That I have been in business almost exclusively as a commission artist for the last 8 years and counting at the time of this recording. And it has really proved to be a very sustainable source and reliable source of income for me. And so in today's episode, I'm sharing 7 tips that will help you navigate the world of commission work with confidence, clarity, and your creativity. These tips are really designed to not only help you start accepting commission projects, but also create a framework that supports the longevity and success of your commission work in your creative business. Tip number 1 is very simple. It's create an online gallery. Now, when I started, obviously social media was not a thing, so this tip was not as easy as it is today to create an online gallery. But this is very simplistically stated as just start some social media for your business if you don't already have that. My suggestion would be both Instagram and Facebook. There's 2 different audience age groups on both of those platforms, and so you want to be able to see which audience is going to resonate with your open commission books best. And then consider also opting for Pinterest as well as a way for people to find your work. Pinterest is just a beautified version of a Google search engine. So you can create Pinterest pins with your images using the right words for people to search the type of art or creative craft that you make, whether it's painting, sculpture, or metal art. So the reason for the online gallery is you want to establish yourself as the credible artist that you are. You want to make sure that you are constantly gaining the trust of a potential client, and to have a place where your work and your style is beautifully represented online. That's going to gain that trust with the client. I don't know about you, but if you've ever gone to even hire somebody like a yard person or a plumber or anything like that, and they don't have any like credible online source, whether it's a Google listing or some sort of social media page, I don't know about you, but I normally tend to not choose those service providers. They have to have some sort of online presence for them to have even that first facing bit of credibility. Tip number 2 is professional contact information. So this is obviously, well, I hope it's kind of obvious. We're not going to be using like our old MySpace, login. I just want you to go ahead and set up a Google email address with your name and then something like yourname@domain.com. This also adds another layer of credibility to your business as an artist. And you want to make sure that wherever your work is displayed, you have a very clear call to action, which means hire me for commissions or something along those lines with your phone number and email. You're wanting to build credibility, and credibility comes through clarity. And so your social media bio, any kind of website, these should serve as bridges for a potential client to reach you as quickly as possible. So tip number 3 is probably the one we're going to spend the most time on, and that is knowing your pricing. This has transformed throughout my business. Like I said, I've been in business for 8 years. Knowing your pricing is really important, and I think we can get trapped in the emotional side of creating work. And we don't want to be, at least for me, I did not want to be pricing emotionally. I didn't want to say, oh, well, I spent so much time on this piece and it meant so much to me. And, there was all this extra work I put into it. No, again, clarity here is key. So although it's one of the trickiest aspects of a business, it's very vital that you understand your costs before you really announce that you're accepting commission work. And I'm just going to save you the heartache that I went through with starting a commission business. Of course, honestly, I was doing this when I was in high school. And so my prices obviously have changed drastically since then. But you want to make sure you're including not just the time spent on your work, but also you want to include your material costs, any kind of potential shipping, any travel, any processing fees, or anything else that goes into making that piece of art for that client. When I first started, I made a private list that no one but me saw, and it listed every size that I was willing to offer paintings in. And so take a minute and think about what you want to offer as a custom item for somebody to customize or personalize, and make a list of that. From there, I added my costs for materials, labor, shipping, and any other expenses on the side of that list. And so this helped me see all of the things that this isn't even, we're not talking about profit here. We're just talking about the numbers, that what it takes to actually make the work and get it to that person's home. From there, I was able to see that base price and then add in, at the time when I first started, I was adding more of an emotional upcharge. Today, I've tried 3 different ways. The first one was hourly. The second way I tried to price was per square inch. And now I am successfully charging per linear inch. So this is something that you're going to want to dive into on whatever you actually make. Some of you know that I actually started as a fine artist, then I dove into pinstriping, which is also something I still provide today, and that is where you're painting on physical items. So for me, it's cars and helmets and motorcycle tanks, and that alone had its own pricing structure I needed to figure out, whether it was by color or by quarter panel or whatever. This is going to look different for everybody. What I did find is that it was important to have some kind of repeatable structure to price your work. And there was 2 reasons for that. One being, if this client comes back, they want to know loosely that you price your work in this way. And then 2, if you decide to raise your prices, you can do that in a strategic way, knowing that, okay, in this year, this was my pricing structure. So what dollar value can I add to a part of my process to make that price increase make sense across the board? So honestly, the last piece of advice on this I want to talk about, and it's kind of prickly, is should you display your prices wherever you have your work online visible for people to look at? And for me, I've gone both ways where I've put my pricing on, my website, like verbatim on how much each size is. I've not put my pricing, and what I've found to be the best way to kind of clarify for people what I actually will charge and still leave it open for interpretation, because some people are going to come at you with a project that you can't even foresee right now. So what I've found is you don't want to put exact pricing on your website, because then that person may come to you and say, well, it says this on your website, and I want this. And you're like, well, this project, as the artist, it's going to take so much more time, the reference photo is just very grainy. It's going to take so much more time to pull that image out of it. So what I've found is something like starting at X point. So for me, I have like starting at $36 a linear inch, or whatever I have there on my website. You guys can go check it out. But having a starting at point can filter out what I like to call like the tire kickers, the people that are just kind of fishing around for a price. They're not super serious about it. If you don't have that starting out price, if you don't have any prices, what I found is there's going to be a lot of people, and this is not their fault at all, but there's going to be a lot of people that email you like, well, how much does it cost to do this? And then you're going to be wasting so much time crafting these well-organized, professionally worded emails to these people that are really just looking for you to send back a number. They don't have a lot of seriousness in actually commissioning you. And I've just found that people that want to commission an artist, they are very serious. Their story is serious. They care a lot about what's going to be happening in the process. And they want clarity, back to our first couple points. Like, they want to know how the process is going to work, and they want to know how much it's going to cost. And the clients that value craftsmanship and artisan made things, they oftentimes are going to have a lot of information already that they've already done their research. They're going to come with an email that is already well crafted. It's not just going to be like, well, how much for this? So that's just kind of what I found in my 8 years of doing this, is just offer a starting at range on your website so that you can kind of filter out those people that, aren't as serious about commissioning you. And that will save you so much time on the front end of trying to book clients and schedule your workflow out. Whew. Okay, so tip number 4 is another simplistic one that I may get some pushback on this, but I believe that business cards are still very important. Despite the digital world, I know there's digital business cards. I know that we can just give somebody a QR code, which is actually a very wonderful way to start if you're doing shows and you don't have the income to create business cards. You can just create a QR code that you put up on an easel or somewhere around your cash flow desk that people can take a picture of. That will take them to your website or wherever you would like them to go, whether it's like a pay app or whatever. I actually have a friend who did that as a pinstriper. I'm pretty sure he still does that to this day. He has the QR code set up where he's accepting money and creating artwork live, and people can just snap a shot of that QR code, and I think it takes them straight to his Instagram. However, if you have the means to create a business card, people that are of the age that have the home or have the garage and they would like to commission work, they're still very familiar with like a physical card. And so it's a wonderful way for you to leave a lasting impression on people that you meet. And for us as creatives, we have the opportunity to create beautiful business cards that actually act like pieces of artwork. And so you want to use like a simple tool, even a free tool like canva.com can get you a really nicely created business card with an image of your work and maybe your studio logo. And fun fact, you can add your QR code to your website on that business card. And that makes it that much easier for people to get to wherever you need them to see your creative work. Another quick tip here is Vistaprint. I hate to plug Vistaprint because if you can use a small business printer to make your cards, then please do. More power to you. But I know a lot of you that are listening to this may just be starting out as a commission artist, or maybe you're hoping to dive into the world of offering commissions to kind of sustain your business. And you may not have those means to be able to just go and spend a couple $100s to get some cards made. And so think about Vistaprint. When I first started, and I think even to this day, they have the ability to print like 500 cards for like $50 on their seasonal sales. So get on their email list and wait for those sales to come through. Number 5, and this has gotten so much easier since I first started. Again, when I first started, we did not have social media. We did not have large pay apps such as Venmo or anything like that. Obviously, cash is king. We all know this. In the digital world, especially if you're doing shows, most people are going to be paying with a card, so it is absolutely imperative for you to get set up with a payment processing app of any kind. So for me, in my business, I use PayPal and Square processing. Square is like a professional dashboard for me where I do all of my commission invoices, and it's been a very successful 8-year thing that I've had going with Square. They send you a free card reader. You can upgrade to the more fancy ones if you want for a little bit more. You can actually start accepting payments at no cost immediately through Square. I really enjoy that platform for the communication aspect and the availability to like really personalize invoicing from accepting a deposit and adding a contract. All of those things you can do in Square and this isn't a plug for Square. I don't have any kind of affiliate link with them yet, but they have really been my go-to for business for the last 8 years. People that aren't familiar with Square, that's why I started offering the PayPal option, because you want to, again, make sure that people trust you. They're feeling confident. And so PayPal is my secondary option. So a tip for beginners here, and this is a huge one that I definitely missed on the front end of offering some kind of payment processing situation for my clients to pay through, is I did not add in their processing fees to the price of the artwork. And so some people may not want to do that. You may be okay with, just eating that processing fee whenever these people pay through a customized invoice. But in my experience, when you get into the higher numbers, that processing fee goes way up and it eats a large chunk of your profit. And so I've openly told my clients your processing fee will be weaved into the cost of the creative work. And should you decide to pay with cash or check, that fee actually drops off the invoice. Make sure that you're factoring these into your pricing when you're first creating that pricing structure, because that is, again, some profit that you could be losing out on. From an integrity standpoint, you want to clarify that with your customers. At least that's what I would suggest, is that processing fee is going to be wrapped into the cost of the work unless you pay cash or check. That's just how I've done it. It's worked really well for me. That transparency has gained a lot of trust with my existing clients. Tip number 6 is do in-person shows. So now you have your online gallery, you have a payment processing plan, and so now you want to start attending in-person shows, and it's something that is so powerful for any kind of creative business, because again, what you're selling is a service. The service that is going to build relationships. A lot of the people that have commissioned me for a work, they have bought original work of mine. So it's a relationship that you're building through a really well-crafted service. When I was first starting out, I obviously didn't have a budget for setting up a booth, and they've increasingly gotten more expensive, $200, $300, $400, $500 for even just one day at a show. But what I suggest is still go to these shows and show up, bring your business cards, and talk to the artists that are having booths at these shows that you want to attend. Not only are you going to gain valuable insight from those people, but you're also going to make connections. All right, and tip number 7, and some of you will laugh at this. If you're still with me, thank you. But tip number 7, and I still incorporate this into my business every now and then, even 8 years in, is work for free strategically. So when you are starting to accept commission work as any kind of a creative, it may seem kind of like counterintuitive to start accepting work for free, but there is definitely a time and place where working for free can actually benefit your career. Taking on select free projects or even donating your art to different causes can open doors that might otherwise be closed. It helps you build your portfolio. It shows that you can take direction from somebody and then create something tangible from it. But it also expands your network and gives you valuable exposure. And oh my gosh, I am the first person to say, do not work for exposure. Do not do that. Working for exposure in a strategic way is actually something very valuable throughout our entire career, not just when you're starting out. This story is fairly recent, as of maybe 2 or 3 years old, and a famous author and photographer who had written this beautiful coffee table series of books about Brumos American Racing was looking for the top 10 to 20 automotive artists in the country, and somehow or another my name got put on that list, and it was in between names of people that I had idoled and admired pretty much my whole career. And so it was such an honor to be included in that lineup of artists. And when the author reached out to me with this project idea, he stated very specifically that this was going to be for charity and that the artist would not be financially compensated. And so I did not take but 5 seconds to say yes to this project, because I knew strategically that although it was going for a good cause, and of course that's a beautiful thing that we can donate our work and help charity with our talents, I knew also too that my name was going to be included in the group of names that were going to be titled the top automotive artists in the country. And so all of these artists, we all created these slip covers for this series of books, and each set of books got auctioned off at charity. The slip covers were done in our, painterly styles, and we just kind of were tasked with painting some sort of Brumos Racing inspired artwork on these slip covers. And so all that to say, that project actually unfolded like an onion, and it allowed, in the most beautiful way, it gave me the opportunity to become friends with these artists, because we all got to meet up at the Amelia Concourse in Florida for when I showcased my art there. We got to go to dinner with these artists. We also got to see the Brumos American Racing Museum in Florida on the off hours. And at that time, my husband and I'll never forget this, we were at the museum, and the owner of the museum recognized me and my artwork from this project. And so there was so many things that it launched for me. And it was all because I said yes to a quote unquote free project. If you're strategic in where you're offering free work or donated work or discounted work, make sure that the end goal is there in sight. You can say, okay, well, this piece will potentially get me into this room, which has the people that I would really love to work with. So be strategic about it. Don't just be giving your best friends, free work all the time. Just definitely weigh the long-term benefits before committing to any kind of free or discounted work, whether you're a beginner or a professional. So we'll go back through them real quickly. It's number 1, an online gallery. Number 2, professional contact info. 3, know your pricing. 4, make a business card. 5, find a payment processor. 6, do in-person shows. And 7, work for free strategically. And so I have a couple little side notes here as well, some bonus tips that have really helped me in forging a successful commission business. And the first and foremost one is document your process. So after you've started to accept commission, even for just a year, Start documenting your creative process because this helps you understand your own workflow while also showing potential clients how you work. So this transparency can really set expectations and build trust on the front end of a project. Throughout my career, I started to document, okay, I do this step first, and then I do this step, and then I do this step, and then I realized I do this every time. Let me turn it into a framework, a step-by-step process that I can actually advertise for commission. For me, it's called the Automotive Method, and that is my signature 5-step process for accepting commissions, both as a pinstriper and a fine artist. And this process outlines my approach to commission work and kind of guides the potential client through each step of the process. So they're not just paying for this kind of like woo-woo art thing. They actually are understanding, okay, your deposit allows me to purchase the materials and get the sketches going. And then you're going to walk through steps 2, 3, and 4 with me. And then the 5th step, and that's going to include the final work and framing. And so you can go onto my website at www.asphaltcanvascustomart.com and then click commission request, and you can see this process for yourself. I can't even talk enough about how helpful this has been and how many clients have told me when they were looking to hire a commission artist, they'd never done it before. And so having a framework, a step-by-step blueprint or manual guide, however you want to say it, it really gave them clarity and it built trust, because most of the people that are commissioning you, they are not artists. They don't know how the process works. They're going to see photos of the work in progress and they're going to be scared. And so keep referring them back to this framework and they'll have a better understanding of like, okay, although I'm seeing this piece at the 40% done stage, I can refer back to this framework and know that this is in step number 3. We still have a couple steps to go. Everything's going to be fine. And then my last little tidbit of advice is write handwritten thank you notes. Just do it. It's so simple, and it's just such a beautiful way to let the client know how grateful you are for them to take a chance on you as the artist to tell their story. It's such a divine and beautiful collaboration when a commission is done and the story is now a visual, tangible item that is hopefully going to be passed down for decades in that family. And it's just show your gratitude towards that client for trusting you and trusting your process and sharing sometimes very vulnerable information with you to create this final piece. So send a handwritten thank you note. Not only is it just a beautiful way to run business, but it's also a wonderful way to continue the relationship with that client. So it is not going to be a one and done scenario. Like I said, they could potentially become lifetime clients of yours and have another piece commissioned, or even come and buy an original or a print of yours. Closing thoughts. Starting a commission business, it doesn't require a massive upfront investment, but it does, in my opinion, require a solid foundation and a dedication to professionalism. So my 2 biggest pieces of advice, if you're going to start accepting commission work, is listen to your client. Yes, you are the artist, you are the creative professional, but the client in a commission style work of art, no matter what the medium, the client is the hero. They are the person that you are serving. They are expecting an experience. They need to be included unless they specifically state, I do not want to be included. And you want to make sure that that's clear up front. Do you want to be included in the process? How would you like to be contacted? And listen and make sure you follow through with that. Again, you're providing an experience and you want that experience to be something that they go and tell their friends about. So listen to your client. You are the conduit from their head to the canvas or whatever you're making. So if you can clearly listen to their stories, their wants, their needs, their ideas, and then translate those into art using your style, because they're coming to you for your style of art. That's such a valuable piece of information that I think I forgot to say. They love your work already, so go into it with some confidence. But you are the conduit, which is such a beautiful thing. Like, it's such a cool concept. You get to translate their ideas into custom art. How cool is that? when you start accepting commissions, I would suggest that you continue creating artwork from your own heart on the side. Continue making work that you want to make, that's only you involved, that has your ideas, your heart, your story. Because for a while in my commission business, I actually stopped making art for myself. And that was just out of a need for, I need to make this business work. I don't have time to make art for myself. But that led to burnout. And it led to burnout kind of over and over and over again until I realized, like, what is the core of my burnout? And the core of it was I wasn't creating for myself, and therefore I kind of lost sight of my artistic vision, my style. I didn't really have a style. I was just accepting work to make ends meet, and that is not a healthy thing for an artist to do. They have to build a portfolio that has their style, and you want to be accepting commissions within that vein. You don't, the goal as a commission artist is for people to actually come to you for the artwork you're already making, but with their, your style, but their image. That's the best way to clarify it for me as a painter and a pinstriper. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of the Artisan Edge. I hope this gives you an edge up in your business. I want to put a little note in here of just sincere gratitude and thanks for the people that have kind of jumped on board with this mission of the Curated Craftsman and shared the show on their social media profiles. Sharing the show is like the biggest compliment to me because you found value in this message. And so if you found value in this one, please share the show. Leave us a review because the algorithm only sees our show as valuable if the reviews are there. And so I now know as a podcaster and someone behind the mic why people ask for reviews so often on podcasts, and I'm going to start reading them on air. If you have any questions or if you would like more tips on starting a creative commission business, just drop me a note on my website or my Instagram. And until next time, I want to leave you with this quote that is sure to encourage collaboration with your future clients by Maya Angelou. You can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have.